I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about what I do, please subscribe to my channel. Today is Flowbox 2.0, or I should say the attempts at making a functional flow box that will allow me to do flasking in a sterile work environment. The previous one that I put together, I had a couple of videos on it. I thought it was going to work great. It did not, and I came to the conclusion that the HEPA filter that I used in the back of the flow box that's attached to the fan was just not functioning. It wasn't a HEPA filter. So what I'm going to do today is I purchased a new HEPA filter, and this is the HEPA filter that I bought. It costs about 25 bucks. You can get it at Walmart or Amazon. And this thing, I'm going to show it to you right here, if you can see it, and it says it's Honeywell, which is a hopefully a respected manufacturer, and it says up on here, up on the top, it says certified HEPA air purifier filter. All right, so if it's certified, we'll see how it works. So I feel a little better with this, about using this. The only problem with this is the dimensions of this aren't quite what fits with my flow box that I made previously. So I may have to enlarge the hole. I may actually have to build a little bit of a frame to go around this thing, but I'm going to put this together. I'm not going to have the camera running to make sure that we see everything, but I'll kind of periodically come back as I'm in the construction process, and we'll take a look at things. So I want to install this and see if this thing works. I have all of my other conditions and parameters have been resolved from the Flowbox 1.0, and we'll see how Flowbox 2.0 goes. Alright, so I'm going to take this thing apart, make the hole a little bigger, maybe build a frame for this, and then install it. Should be a pretty easy thing to do considering I've already put this first one together. Okay, let's see how it works. Okay, about a half hour has passed since I shut the camera off, and all that I was able to do was to take the old HEPA filter off of the old fan that's at the back here. And I also looked at some possibilities for how I would attach it. This other HEPA filter, the old HEPA filter, was nice because there was a frame around it, and it allowed me to drill some holes and put some bolts in the frame that I could use to attach to this. But what took me such a long time was to take all of the duct tape off, and this is pretty good duct tape. It's important to get good quality tape, and I don't think I need bolts. I don't think I need stuff. I'm just going to duct tape the heck out of this thing and see if it goes, and see if it works. I think it'll work like that. I looked at the possibility, I have some wood here, and I looked at the possibility of framing the new HEPA filter that's actually right here. I don't think I showed this to you, but the new HEPA filter here, and I just think it'll get too bulky, and I'm going to have to seal it anyway with the duct tape, because if I just put a wood frame, it's gonna leak unless I put gaskets in there, and I don't want to do that. But this is good. This is good duct tape. It's heavy. It is sticky. I let go. I'm not sure if you can tell. And it's leaving a little residue on the hand. So the other thing I wanted to show you was the thickness of the filter. So this is the new filter versus the old filter, and what you can see is that the new filter this one that I'm relying on is about twice the thickness of the old filter here. So I'm hopeful that this new filter that's a little larger also will work out a little better. So I'm just gonna make a bigger hole in my flow box right here, cut it out a little larger, and just put everything together with just duct tape and not worry about bolting and everything like that. Also, just to remind you, there is on the filter, there is some directionality to it. So you can see that there's an arrow in it, and it actually just says this side in, but this is actually the direction of airflow, and you want to make sure that you have everything going the right way. So anyway, this is the new HEPA filter. I don't think I showed it to you before, it was still in the box, but I'm just going to cut a larger hole and then just duct tape everything together and see how it goes. So let's do that, and I'll keep you updated. Okay, well, that took a little longer than I expected. That took about an hour, but this is pretty cool. So what I did was just duct taped the crud out of this thing. And so the duct tape is kind of holding everything in place. I got two layers. I got one layer that goes this way, and then I got a second layer that goes this way. When you look on the inside of this hood, you could see the larger HEPA filter that I have, and you can also see kind of an internal chamber. I taped the HEPA filter in first, so just to make sure that there was a good seal. So I got that, so everything that comes through here is going to be sealed pretty well. And I got a large area of the inside of this flow box contains the HEPA filter. So I'm pretty excited that I got it done, and I'll give it a try and report back to you. So let's see how it goes. And we are in the laboratory. The airflow box has been running for, I would guess, about 2 hours, and I am pretty excited about it. I've got really good airflow. What I did after I turned it on is I sprayed the inside of the flow box with isopropanol and let that dry out. And now I have my media that I've made specifically to test to see whether I get any contamination issues. So I'm going to take this plate and open it up, cough on it, and put it out in the air and see what I get out of it. And I'm going to have this plate sitting here maybe for an hour, not too long. With this plate, so I've got another plate that's in my airflow box right in the middle, and I am just going to open this up and sit it by the side. And same thing, I'll let it sit there for a couple hours. I'll label the plates just so you know I haven't done that yet. So that's about it, and hopefully in another week to 2 weeks I'll be able to show you a clean plate that was sitting in the airflow, the flow box, and a dirty plate that was sitting outside. So that's it for now, and hopefully I'll come back with good results soon. And we're back. And so I wanted to share with you some of the results that I have so far with the Flowbox 2.0. And I set this up about a week ago and put dishes in there, a dish in the box and then a dish outside of the box shown like this. And it's been a week. I only opened the dishes for about 45 minutes because it was late in the day and I had to go, but I'm pretty excited even though the results, there's not much to share with you. So this first dish that I'll show you is the dish that was out here open on the countertop, and it should be loaded with different contaminants. And there is stuff in there, but there's only two colonies, big colonies, and that's fine. But as opposed to Flowbox version 1.0, this Flowbox 2.0, this was the dish that I opened inside of the box for about, again, that same 45 minutes, and it's clean. So I'm pretty excited, and the reason, there's not much here, but the reason I'm so excited is because it looks like it's working. It looks like I figured this out, and this is what happens over and over again in science. I have a phrase that I use all the time in science that I share with my students, and that is, if it worked all the time, it wouldn't be so much fun. And this didn't work. and first time, and now it looks like it's working, so yay. There are only 2 colonies on here, and as a good scientist, what I want to do is I want to do this one more time. So I've had this dish inside my my Flowbox 2.0 for, so far it's been about I think about 3 hours, and I'm going to let it go a couple more hours, but I'm in the flow box right now. There's really good airflow. This thing is putting out a lot. And again, in my first flow box version, this would have been it would have been covered because it was blowing stuff through here. On the outside, again, this is an open dish outside, and we're going to do that again just to see what's going on. But what I'm expecting here is that this dish is going to be contaminated a lot more than the other outside dish was, and I'm hoping that the dish that's inside of the flow box is going to be clean. But I've got a good feeling about this, and I think this is going to work, and I'm pretty excited. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't take too much to excite me, but you know, and these little successes really, that's what makes it fun. And so I'll have all the information on this. You know, when I think about this, what I did differently here is the HEPA filter is different. It's from a more reliable source. Rather than getting it, buying it from an online retailer and have it shipped to me, we've all seen what packages can look like when they arrive. The HEPA filter is a filter that contains very small pores that allows the air to go through and filters, you know, bacteria and fungal spores and everything like that out. So if something is coming through the mail and it's just beat on a little bit, you're going to make tears and rips and holes in the thing. So I'll have more on this when I finish this up in another week, but my feeling is, and I've got to show you some specifics about how I put this together, which I left out in the build of this. But I think it's a good idea to get this filter, which is a big brand filter. I think it's probably a good idea to get this from a big box store locally. Go to the store, look at the display, pick the box that doesn't look like someone sat on it, and that the chances are good. I've even looked online for HEPA filters, and I see these ads that say HEPA filter, cheap, slightly damaged. And the reality of this is that even a slightly damaged HEPA filter has holes in it, and what that means is the air is going to find its way into those holes and tears and rips and things like that. You don't want a slightly damaged, partly damaged, somewhat jumbled, sat on, twisted a little bit HEPA filter. You want a pristine HEPA filter out of the box. And that's, I think, what I got here, and I think that's why I have success. Okay, and we're back. This has been quite a long video and a long adventure into, for me, hood making. Yeah, like I said, I've made hoods in the past. I haven't made one quite like this, and I'm learning as I go, obviously. So I took you on the first version of the flow box, and I took you on to the version of Flowbox 2.0. This is 3.0, and this has been months since I first put this together, and I've been kind of putting it off and getting back to it, making some improvements, testing it again, and it has been working mostly. But occasionally what happens is I get failures and I have contamination, and I guess what's going on is this is just a really dirty environment. It's a very dirty room, but which is what you're going to deal with if you're building one of these and using it at home. What I've come up with, version 3.0, there's one good improvement that was suggested by a viewer, and I don't remember who it is, but if you see your idea here, thanks.
I used it and it worked. And that idea was to, so I have my standard flow box that you've seen previously with a box fan on the back and a HEPA filter. And I do want to mention the HEPA filter that I ended up using was not one that was from mail order. It was a HEPA filter that where I went to the big box store and I looked at it and I picked the box off of the shelf that had no damage. So this is what I recommend doing, is actually going to the store, looking for a box. I think what happened is the first time version 1.0, it just didn't work very well, and I think the reason was that was a mail order HEPA filter, and I think it got beat up a little bit in the mail. It was just a HEPA filter that was in a soft padded envelope, but I think the HEPA filter itself was damaged, and if you have a damaged HEPA filter, it's not going to work well on your hood. So this time I went and I got a HEPA filter that was in a kind of a light cardboard box, a light box, and I picked a box from the shelf that had the least damage on it. So I think that was a good start. You know, the seals are good. I used duct tape to put everything in place. It worked pretty well. I was a little bit concerned, and some of the viewers wrote, and one viewer specifically wrote about when you have a HEPA filter in there that's this size, where the whole area is this size, what happens is you end up getting little convection currents and wind eddies that are created in here. And in order to correct for that, one viewer suggested, and I thought it was a genius idea, that I have a second tub that fits inside the second tub that fits inside of the first tub, and but it fits in, they're the same size, so it fits in nicely. And then what I do with the second tub is you drill an array of holes going from smaller in the middle, and I'll show you this, going from smaller in the middle, and as you go out, the holes get larger. And what that does, it's in essence how the regular laminar airflow hoods work, is that there's a chamber where the air is where the sterile air is blown, where the air is blown, that then blows into through the filter as part of a second air. So you have the air that builds up, and then it comes through, and what it does is it creates, rather than these currents that potentially are creating, it creates a little bit of a different situation where I can feel the wind at the top and the bottom and the sides. It's pretty similar. So you start out and you have holes in the middle of this that are smaller, and like I said, as you go out, the holes get bigger, and what that does is it forces the air to go to the outside and then out at you. So I think this is a much better design, and I tested this a few weeks ago, and so as a control, I have a dish that I just put out on the countertop right over here, and what you can see in this dish, what I think you can see, is there's just all types of contamination in here. There are, I don't know, I think maybe 4 or 5 different types of contamination that grew on this dish. Mostly, I think it's mostly fungi, which is fine, I don't care about that. The control dish is right here, and clean, it's all clean. Again, when I did this, so I don't use the orchid medium for this because I include antimicrobials, antifungals, I include that in the medium. This is another medium that I actually had developed for some other plants that I was growing in the laboratory, and this works to really promote contaminated growth. And I'm doing this again, so I've done this a few times, I'm doing it again. So I have a open dish right here that is on the outside, and then I have an open dish that I'm going to keep on the inside that I'm going to put in here for 45 minutes to an hour. It's probably been about a half hour already, but I imagine I'm going to see the same thing. So I think this is going to be my final video on the flow box. I'm going to start using this for just to see how it goes with maybe some of my less valuable orchids in the laboratory here. I may take this home and try it. I don't know. Again, this is a small portable unit, very light. I like, it's it's polypropylene. It's semi-transparent, so the light comes through, so you don't need to put a light in the top or do anything like that. And all that you get, and you can work in here. You can put your arms in here. I'll probably, when you work in here, you lower the seat a little bit so that you can get in here more fully. But I think it will work there, and there's plenty of space to do a lot of the manipulations that I'm doing, to pour dishes, to do other types of manipulations and things like that. It's completely open in the front, so you can reach in here. The other option is to have a lid or have this somewhat closed, and to restrict the airflow a little bit more and have it come out at the bottom. And you can consider things like that, but this seems to have worked for me in the past, and I think this is going to be a good model. So that's all I have today. This is version, I think it's Flowbox 3.0. I guess that's what I'm up to now. But I hope that you watched the whole video here. It's long because there's been a lot of changes and improvements over the time. I've been meaning to post it, but I haven't. I hope that you were able to see through it. I think this is going to work out well, and I hope you can utilize this, whether it be for orchids or mushrooms, fungi, or whatever your applications might be. All right, so that's all I have for today. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to keep on seeing my videos, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, yay, seems to be working. That's all I have for today. Again, I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.